Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is the third war of the season and we're capping off the first week and we're going up against TCN, who is a somewhat notorious alliance for various reasons. But either way, they're always toward the top of the leaderboard and they definitely have probably the most difficult defense of any alliance in Tier 1 simply because they have the largest rosters. So we're already used to having all rank 4s, but there are going to be a few rank 5s on the field, including a Kingpin on a node that I've never taken in before, so I'm kind of interested to see how that goes. And the highlight of this war for me is that we were able to path Elsa Bloodstone, who is one of my favorite champions, and we're going to see her absolutely wreck a matchup against Cassie a little bit later. It's a lighter war for me, only 4 fights, but they are just some key path fights that I have good counters for. We're starting off on path 7. This is Attuma, and I took a very similar fight last war on 7B, and the strategy is going to be the same. I am saving my white Magneto pre-fights for a little bit later, so even though it would potentially help a little bit, we're just going to be baiting heavies essentially to get our openings. And I had to read his kit a little bit. The only way that he is ever going to purify anything is if we get struck by a heavy, the fatigue debuffs will go away, or if we stun, he automatically cleanses or purifies the stun. So we're just going to bait special ones. As I talked about in the last war, anytime we apply a shock or an incinerate, it's going to reduce his hydration. So even though every time he throws a special, he's getting more hydration, that could be potentially dangerous. We're not worrying about it too much because he's already under 50% health. And anytime we do a shock, and soon we're going to throw some incinerates, if that doesn't kill him, the hydration is going to be more than in control. And just this fight went a little bit faster than the last one. Maybe it's because I had more boosts on, but I barely took any Thorns damage, so it wasn't that bad this time. And what we're going to do now, because I'm going to try to do the next fights in one invuln boost, I'm healing up Doom now so that he's at 100% health. And then we're going to go into this Dragonman fight with white Magneto again. I did do this fight in war number 1 with this exact same counter. The only difference this time is that I am not running double edge mastery. When I did war 1, I had some apocalypse fights where that made sense. So that means white Magneto is going to have slightly less damage. So I am using power back boosts, and I'm throwing on an invuln because the only danger in this fight is basically Mystic Dispersion. We're going to be having a lot of prowess buffs expiring, and our ability accuracy will get rid of some of the Mystic Dispersion, but there is a scenario where things can get out of hand and you know, I could tank something in the corners or something like that. So we parried to get rid of the power charge, and then it did come back. It's not guaranteed to go away, but this time around, watch the power charge. It does disappear, and once it disappears for the whole fight. We've known that for a long time when fighting with, you know, Nebula or other champions like that. So when we throw our special 2, it is going to place an armor break and 2 degens on him. The degens are going to be ticking for a lot. That's where a lot of our damage comes from. And we lose somewhere around 10% to 15% of our health every time we do that. So we know that it will take 2 or 3 special 2s to kill him, and it just means I'm going to have to sacrifice 20 to 30% of my health. So it just means we can't really make other mistakes in the fight, and then we should be fine. So even without any recoil type masteries, he's pretty much going to go down with only the 2 special 2s. So that's good data for the future that he doesn't really need double edge. And we were able to get him down. So that's a very, very safe fight between the ability accuracy, the increased attack, not having to worry about the power charges and stuff. It really kind of works out. Now, I am running low on Mystic power backs. So what I'm doing for this Kingpin on node 30 fight is simply throwing on an 8% Mystic special boost just for a little bit extra damage. But I'm going to try to do it without power backs and actually having fought Kingpin last war with power backs, I kind of like it without, because we're going to be getting a ton of power anytime his unstoppable buffs expire off of the heavy attack. So just generally speaking, I don't think you need power backs. You can be a little bit more in control when you throw a special 3 and you end with 0 power and you do a traditional doom cycle, and we should easily be able to get 2 Furies and finish him with a special 2. So we're still running the invuln boost here, which I think is a good idea because he can go unblockable if things get really out of hand here. And he doesn't have any combat power rate stuff like he did last war, but the thing we have to worry about is the regeneration timer. Basically, anytime we dash back, we have a second to not like double clutch our dash back. And as long as we don't do that, he won't regenerate. There's no way to reduce his regeneration rate with Dr. Doom, which means anytime we accidentally proc a regen, he's going to just instantly get back 10% health. And this is a rank 5 with 230k health, so we don't want him gaining any health. We want this fight to end as fast as we can. But you saw as I was getting up to my special 3, we were baiting a lot of heavies because the heavy attacks give a little instant unstoppable, which then gives us Mystic Dispersion. So we're going to just easily get back to a second special 3. He hasn't thrown a single special all match. We haven't really had to do anything fancy. And now we're going to have 2 Furies, and this is why I said we don't need power back boosts. We just do the medium, and then 3 lights, 2 mediums, throw a special 1, and looking at how much health he has left, I'm certain that this special 2 is going to do him in. So that is how you do that fight. I don't think I would have changed anything. I think I did that just right, and that was just Doom being Doom. Absolutely controlling the fight. And then finally, this is the reason we brought Elsa, was for this Cassie. She is pretty much a hard counter to Cassie. When Cassie's awakened, she can evade. I think it's close to a 10% chance. And so my strategy is going to be try to get her to evade. So you're going to see me not finishing my combos. Even though you do want to finish your combos normally with Elsa, I don't want to leave myself open to getting punished. And I kind of wasted this invuln boost. I really didn't need it. You're about to see why. But yeah, my game plan was, because of buffet over time, potentially, I wanted to basically like proc the evade and then get my cold snap so that for the rest of the fight, she wouldn't evade. That's why I'm not finishing my combos. And then in my head, I was thinking I would just let these debuffs work with despair. But after I watched this fight, I realized something, which was that Cassie is buff immune, and they placed her on the buffet over time, which would give her regen buffs. And you can see every time buffet procs, it does nullify my buff, but it says immune because she's buff immune. So she cannot heal on this node, which is kind of funny. They obviously overlooked that. And I did too, until after the fight. We were watching it and kind of having a laugh about that. So yeah, she didn't even evade once. Elsa hard counters, you know, if we get power stings or the combo detonation thingies on us, she will just purify them and give herself more damage. And because the healing wasn't even a factor, it was a bit of a joke. If I had finished my combos, it probably would have been like a 25-second fight, but because I was doing 4-hit combos to not get evaded, it ended up being a little longer, but absolutely safe. I don't really believe she's much of a defender, especially if you have a counter who can shrug off those debuffs. So anyway, the rest of the war for me was just placing some pre-fights. It was nice that we took one fight with White Magneto so that I was able to use one on Kingpin, even though we didn't really need it. And then we were able to place 3 more. It's one of the reasons you like to fight with your pre-fight champs. And with that said, we are currently winning this war by a very tight score. And it's pretty exciting because TCN is definitely a force to be reckoned with. So hoping that we can close this thing out and end up with a W. Huge shout out to BG3, who is having a phenomenal war as well. As always, I encourage you to check out any of the other YouTubers in SSx-1. There are so many that are posting war videos these days. I encourage you to watch those so you can see a little bit more about how this war went from other angles and what the final score was. But with that, we're going to take it home, and I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I'll catch you in the next one.